Bon Jovi, Keep the Faith. And what we have here is we have a cassette tape that's broken, and we're going to show you how to repair it. And where we are right now, we're in the Audio Mover studio. Audio Mover, what we do is we take old audio and videotapes, we turn them into digital. We actually don't work with this kind of tape specifically for digitizing because it's copyrighted, but people all over the country have old cassette tapes and videotapes of things like piano recitals and interviews with grandparents, you name it. I mean, we get things shipped in from all over the country. And we're actually well known in the industry for doing large projects. We've done projects as large as, believe it or not, 115,000 cassette tapes for one client. And people just send them in here, organizations and individuals, and we convert them to digital. And every once in a while, because of the quantities that we do, we get tapes that get sent in that are broken. And it just so happens we have this Bon Jovi tape here that's broken, and we thought we'd use this as an example to kind of show you if you were going to do something like this yourself, or if you were sending a tape into us and we saw that it was broken, the kind of procedure that we have to go through to get a tape functioning again. And so we thought this would be a good example. Bon Jovi, I was kind of a fair weather fan. I mean, when Runaway came out, I what was I, 13 years old or something like that? I loved that song. It was so amazing. And I have that album. I got 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit, and I thought that one was pretty good. I really like that. Then, of course, Slippery When Wet. I have that one. And then I don't think I ever bought New Jersey. And then the interesting thing about this tape before we repair it was when it came out, because this came out in what was it, 92? And this was, it was 92. And this was a challenging time for a lot of bands like Bon Jovi because it was kind of pop metal. And pop metal had become almost a parody of itself over the hairspray and the goofiness and and Bon Jovi was part of all that. You know, I mean, it was party music and fun and then, I mean, even Living on a Prayer, even though that's not really a party song, you go to any karaoke night anywhere and you're going to hear it. I mean, that was such a part of that 80s music thing. Hey, hold on for just a second. We'll get right back to the video. But if you like this stuff, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave any comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we really, really appreciate it. Anyway, with that, back to the video. And then in 1991, when Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains started coming in, all these bands that were that 80s metal leftover stuff, pop metal, man, it seems like overnight they were just gone. I mean, nobody cared at all. And Bon Jovi was kind of in the middle of that. And so, you know, he'd been so big, this band had been so huge. And then when, you know, that Seattle scene showed up, this album, interestingly, came out right in the middle of that in 1992. And instead of trying to become like that, which other bands did, like Kiss, for example, they put out an album that kind of had that grunge sound to it, that Seattle sound, and some others tried, Bon Jovi kind of went the other direction. And when you look at pictures of John Bon Jovi, I wonder if he's got one in here that looks like that. Yeah, well, now his hair's still a bit longer there. But if you look at music videos, you can kind of see it right there. But he looks like a kind of a pretty boy movie star, like he could have been in that movie The Lost Boys or something. He kind of took, and his hair's all, I don't know. He just didn't, where the Seattle scene came in and they looked like homeless, almost, some of them. John Bon Jovi went the other direction, and his hair was all neat and looked like kind of a movie star, sex symbol type, just changed. So anyway, he kind of reacted a different direction. And Keep the Faith, that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of a cool tune. They had a couple of decent songs on here. Keep the Faith was cool. Bed of Roses, of course, became a hit. And I don't know that I know anything else on here. I believe maybe I might remember that one. Anyway, I don't know much about this. I liked Bon Jovi. I still kind of like him, especially some of that. I liked the early stuff, and I was into 80s metal and everything. So anyway, let me show you what's wrong with this tape. You'll see right here, of all the things that can go wrong with the tape, this is maybe, it's not the most unusual, but it's not really common. The most common thing to deal with an older tape like this is this little pad, this little piece of felt that's sitting on that copper, which you can see how it kind of moves. That thing falls off. That's the most common thing. When we get tapes here in the studio, the first thing we check is that, just to see if that's still attached. Because it's just held on there by some sort of adhesive, and like any other adhesive, over time it just breaks down and then it just falls off. And we sometimes will get tapes filled, or boxes filled with tapes, hundreds of tapes in them. As we take the tapes out, these little pads are just laying all over the bottom of the box. And it's common for tapes that are put out by record companies, because these are usually a little cheaper, for that thing, you'll notice that it's not there, and you'll kind of find it sometimes just down in the case. In this situation, it's actually on there really well. So there's nothing to worry about there, but you'll see there's no tape going across. And somehow, for some reason, the leader tape and the oxide tape have come disconnected. And you can see this is the, I think it's chromium oxide in this case. This is a little higher quality tape. There were I think 4 different types of tape. 3 that were common, type 1, 2, and 4 were the most common, and 4 I think was metal, and 2 was the chrome, which is what this was. I think that's how it was. Okay, anyway, so you'll see here's all the audio tape right there, and then you'll see a couple little things right there, and that's the leader. And and my guess is right now that they just came undone, because those two things, the audio tape and the leader tape, are held together by a little piece of adhesive. And like a lot of other things, when you're talking about an adhesive, eventually it just breaks down and it's going to fall off. It'd be a little bit like if you found an old piece of Scotch tape. You pull it out of some old box or something from when you were a kid, and you have a piece of Scotch tape on things, you'll see that it just kind of flakes off. That's what happens here. Because the leader tape, and I'll show you this, the leader tape, actually, yeah, you can kind of see the end of it right up in there. The leader tape and the oxide are not connected anymore, and they're usually connected by just a little, almost like Scotch tape. And I'll show you how to fix it here. And that's what that's what looks like happened here. So the way we normally do this, because this tape is actually sealed together, a lot of tapes you'll buy at the store, some nicer tapes will have screws. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 screws in the corners, and then one right there. And then you just normally undo the screws, lift this open, and then you can make your fixes. In this case, there's no screws, so we literally have to break it to get into it. And you'll see, this one's a little more obvious in some, but you can kind of see a seam right there. And you can see a seam right there, a seam right there. And there's actually, it's harder to find in there, but you can see that there's the connection's kind of closer to the edge up in here. And so what we do to break this apart is, the first thing is I kind of just bend it a little bit to see if we can get it to start. Hear it snapping just a little bit. There we go. If we can just get a little crack in the seam. This one's not doing a lot, but this tape's actually in fairly good condition. A lot of tapes that we get are really, really old, and they're brittle, and they'll just kind of, we've got a couple of videos we put out recently where the things almost just crumble in our hands as we're doing it, which is okay, because if the shell breaks, we can just take the tape out and put it in another shell. It's not a big deal. So not super stressed, but we try to keep it in decent shape. So what we do then is these 2 holes right here, which are the write protect areas. If you know anything about the way cassettes worked, there was usually a piece of plastic covering these over if it was a tape not a tape put out by a record company, but a tape you just bought to record on. And when you had those little tabs over it, it would signal to the tape deck that you could record onto this tape. When you break them out, like this one doesn't have those there, it signals to the tape deck, you can't record on this tape. And then the record companies, that's how they would do it, to make sure that you didn't destroy your audio tapes. Okay, so what we'll do is just this hole here usually provides a spot for us to wedge. And we'll use this to see, oh, look at that. First shot. You can usually kind of break the seam like so. You see how I just did that? Now, once we break into it, we'll usually then pull out, that I use something that's a little more robust. In this case, it's a Phillips screwdriver, a little thicker. Then I'll take a slightly smaller flathead, and it's not, you should, when you do this, avoid using screwdrivers that are magnetic. And the reason I say that is because this is this tape is magnetized. If you held a really strong magnet against this tape, it would destroy the audio. And so theoretically, even these magnets that are usually on these little screwdrivers are so minimal, I don't know how much damage it would actually do. But having worked in recording studios through my life and having had many people yell at me over the years for putting amplifiers and different things too close to tapes because they, speakers that have magnets in them, I'm very cautious about that. And so it's a good idea, if you're going to do this, to just avoid using screwdrivers that are magnetized. So what I'm going to do now that we have that seam broken, I'm going to put the screwdriver in there. I'm going to try to move it along. There you go. See how it just kind of cracked open? Oh, this one's going to be really easy. That's amazing. Okay, so I think this might even just pop open. Look at that. Okay, this was Bon Jovi. That was so easy to open that up. Okay, there you go. And now there's the thing exposed. And you can see this is the audio tape on this side, and this is the leader tape on this side. And there's the end, and there's the other end. And they're supposed to be connected like so. But for some reason, and again, there's who knows why. What happens again is sometimes, like I said, is just that the adhesive just wears down, and it'll be sometimes somebody will be playing it, and as it goes through, that little piece of adhesive that holds it together will just kind of flake off and maybe laying down the bottom of some tape deck, and you'll never see it again. And then the tape will get to the end, and you'll rewind it or something. You'll get back and go, "What happened?" And it's just both spools had wound back into the shell, and you can't get to them. And then the only way to fix it is to do this. And that's where we come in when we're doing this kind of work, and we get tapes sent into the studio that need to be repaired like this. So I'm going to show you just a couple things in here that you might find interesting. The tape like this has this, on both sides, you'll see this little kind of gray black thing like that. And it's called I refer to it as kind of a gasket. I think the official term is a slip sheet, if I'm not mistaken. But what it does, it just keeps, as these spools turn, it keeps it from rubbing on the plastic. And it's this very low friction material. You'll see where this thing's been played a few times, you can see that it kind of rubbed against this. And you'll also notice, especially right there, that it's a little bit raised. And if I hold this up, you'll see that it's kind of embossed in these two spots. And a lot of times when you see this, they set the embossing a little differently, but the point there is when it's playing, that little embossing just gets this kind of just tiny, tiny little bit of pressure on both sides of the audio tape, and it just helps it spool up really smoothly, like you can see right there. And keeps it from, it's supposed to spool it up smoothly and then keep it from kind of pulling off of the spool, because you'll see that there's really nothing. I could take this tape and just start pulling it off right now, and it would make a huge mess, obviously, but since there are nothing holding it, like a reel-to-reel open reel tape, the plastic shell and this little gasket kind of just keeps it wound nice and tight on there. That's the idea there. Then there's a couple things here. This right here is what's called a pressure pad, and this thing helps you have a nice. This is the thing I was talking about a minute ago. Normally these things will fall off. That's the most common issue. But in this case, it's like I said, it's nice and solid. That's not going anywhere. So for some reason, that adhesive has lasted really, really well. And then there's this little thing that's kind of a little magnetic shield. And when you're playing a tape, the head, we'll just say that's the head in your tape deck, as it comes up and it pushes on that little pressure pad. It generates, especially when you're recording, it generates a little magnetic field right there. And then this protects the rest of the audio tape from this little magnetic field that's being generated right there. Now in this case right now, this is on the wrong side. The way these shells are made, they're made to hold these little pieces on one side where the other side doesn't have the little spots to put them. And when you do something like this, if you're doing it yourself, even though I use tweezers in many cases here, I do use my fingers a lot. I use tweezers partly so you can just see it more clearly. But you end up using your fingers a lot too, and you're touching it, and you know, oils and things, and putting gloves on is such a pain. So I usually just use my hands, but you just wash your hands really well. So when you do handle it, you're less likely to get the oils and things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this particular reel, I'm going to flip it over and put it on this side, and then same thing there. And then now we're going to show you how to, oh, and that's one other thing. These wheels right here, in some cases, in this case especially, you'll see that there are these little posts right there and right there. And these wheels set right on those posts, like so, and they spin freely. And so the path that the tape follows is it goes around this post right there, around this wheel, which kind of spins, across here, across that pad, where the head comes up and touches the tape. And that pad helps it have kind of a, you know, sandwiches, and it helps it get a nice solid connection on the playhead. Goes through there, through the other reel, across that post, and then onto this side. That's the path that the audio tape follows. Now, I'm going to kind of show you how we would fix something like this, because we do get this kind of thing. Not a lot, but I'll tell you what we do here at the studio is actually go seek these things out. We go to record stores whenever I'm at a record store, or go find a thrift shop or something and look for tapes so we can make videos and show you how these things work. And so I don't remember where we found this Bon Jovi one, but just we gather all the tapes that have problems, bring them back here, fix them, and show you and make videos so you can see how this works. This tape's actually in just really, really, I mean, overall it's in really good condition. And it was easy to break apart. This is a great example of how easy something like this can be. So you'll see that I'm kind of holding my finger right there. It helps it spool on to the reel when I do that. Okay. So now the important thing to remember when you're doing a splice like this, again, is that the tape deck, the playhead comes up like this. So when we tape this together, because that's really all we're going to do, we're going to just put some adhesive between these two pieces right there. We want the adhesive on this side, not this side, because we don't want the adhesive running across the playhead. We want it on the other side of the tape. So that's how we're going to do this. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little piece of just Scotch tape like this. This will work fine. And when we make these repairs here in the studio, our goal is to fix it long enough to play one time so we can digitize it, and then that's it, because we've already captured it and don't have to worry about it. But I'll tell you, this little simple repair that we're doing here, even with a little piece of Scotch tape, it will work. It'll work for a long time. I can say it fairly confidently, having done this for years and years and years. So we're going to just cut one little piece of tape that's slightly smaller than the width of the audio tape and leader tape. Okay. So now what we're going to do, again, is we're going to put it on remember it's on the inside. So I'm going to put that little piece of tape right there. You'll see what I just did. It's spanning, and then the rest of this is going to connect to this side. It's all staticky. Flip it over. We'll see how that looks right there. Okay. Now, I'm going to make sure that I'm on the right side here. This side doesn't matter quite as much on the leader tape, and then we just kind of line it up. You can buy kits to help you do this, but I haven't used those in a long time. And usually this works just fine. There you go. So you can see right there, tape spanning both pieces, right there, what it looks like on the other side. Kind of seal it down there. And then that's it. Now I'm going to spool this back up. This is going to have to get spun around because it just came off the reel a little bit. We're going to kind of push this back on, and I'll show you how to put the whole thing back together, what we do at the very end. So now we're kind of spooling this back on. Again, remember the repair is on the inside. So I'm just spooling that back in. And like I said, the repair I just did, that'll last. You wouldn't have to, I mean, it'll probably last for years. So now I'm putting it around there. Going through the stuff, back around this side. Okay, there we go. Bon Jovi is coming back. Right here in the studio, putting this tape back together. Although we'll probably never play this. If you want this tape, leave it in the comments. Okay, anyway, there you go. And you can see, again, the path that it follows right there goes around that post, around that wheel, across the playhead there, around this wheel, around that post, and then it attaches there. And you'll see that on both these, this is actually a really good example where you can see what they do. This is a very common way for these things to work. You'll see that there's a little white spot right there, and there's a little white spot right there. That's where the tape, the leader tape, because there's a leader tape on this side too, that's how it connects to the reel. And what happens is I'll kind of tilt it up a little bit so you can see it. The tape goes right there. You can even see that there's a little edge popping out the other side. The tape will get laid across there, and there's a little hole in the reel itself, and they have these little posts that they'll just jam in there, and it just holds the tape. It sticks it, holds it to the reel, and that's it. And there's again on the other side, and you'll see that that's the same thing on that side, and that's how that leader tape gets held to the reel. Make sure that it's behind these little. The other challenge is just making sure that it makes it behind these little protrusions. And then once it's kind of in there, now these are not held on with any real adhesive that I know of. They usually just kind of float there because they come off. But normally they will stay in place. We'll see if this one does when we put it back on. There you go. So now that's put back together. Now, because there's no screws to hold it, the rest of this is actually fairly simple. We take a couple of pieces of Scotch tape like this, and this will actually do just fine. Put it around that edge like so. Another piece here. Put it around right there. And now, Bon Jovi is back. So we can now play this. We can play Keep the Faith all over again, and this will work. This will work just fine. You can take this right now and go put it in your car, put it any tape player that you have, and this right here, what we just did, will work just fine. And I'll show you the repair. So we're going to put this in. We're going to turn the spool, and in just a second, you'll see the repair coming right there. And that's it. And it moves smoothly across the head, or across the pressure pad. And it would also move smoothly across the head because, again, the adhesive, like I said a minute ago, and I'll pull it out so you can see it, is on the other side, right there. There you go. And that's how you do it. Bon Jovi, all fixed, ready to go. Hey, if you like these videos, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with other people, and of course, leave your comments, what you think about this stuff, if you have any questions or other ideas of things you'd like to see us make videos about. And of course, with that, have yourself a fantastic day.